Hello, hello, hello. Welcome back to another real estate investing talk show. We are going to be going live today, and I just need to make sure you guys are paying attention. Everybody's on the same page, that you're joining us, you're joining us. So, yes, we are doing our radio show today. We are going on our blog talk, and we are not just going on our blog talk, but we're going on our podcast as well. So we will be recording that with you guys and for our radio. But welcome to your real estate investing talk show for today's market. Here with Zack Childress and the lovely Jill in the back. Say hi, Jill.
Hey, hey.
Hey, hey! What's your name? What you doing?
What you doing, boy?
So, listen, I've got some cool stuff to talk to you about today, and it's exciting. It's something that you need to be aware of. We're going to be talking about communication with the seller. Yes, we are. Yes, we are. Communication with the seller. Why is that so important? Well, we're going to talk about it. There's also 4 phases to communicating with a seller, and you need to be aware of that. Now, I want you to know that I've put a ton of thought into this. I actually put this together about 3 minutes ago. But it's just because I know it, guys, and I want you to get to the point to where you know it too. So if you're just now joining us on Facebook, welcome to your real estate investing talk show with Zack Childress. And do me a big favor, share this message. There's so many people out there right now that are engaged into real estate, but they have no clue how to talk to a seller, so they lose deals because of it. They try to rush through the deal and they lose it. So share this message. Go over somewhere around down here. I think it's over here where look, there's some happy faces popping up. Let me catch one of these little things. Where's it at? There it is. Come here. I'm trying to catch this thing. Oh, there it is. Oh, I missed it. All right. There's some more. Let me try to catch those. Yeah, come here. I don't know if you guys can see what I'm doing, but it looks like I'm trying to catch all these little hearts and smiley faces. All right, anyways, that's my ADD kicking in. Sorry, I saw a squirrel going across the screen. But I was saying that I want you to share this. People need to know the message. People need to know the message. So if you're just joining us, my name is Zack Childress, and welcome to the show. We do this every Tuesday at 1:30 Eastern Time Zone so that you get the knowledge and you get the understanding of what you need to be doing in this business. And also remember, I will be talking over here, but I am going to come back to you guys during the breaks from talking into the microphone over here so that I can answer your questions. This is important that you ask me questions. This is a spot for you to engage in, be part of, and learn as we earn. So
We're going to be going live on air in 5, 4, 3, 2.
Hey, and welcome to the Real Estate Investing Talk Show for today's market. This is Zack Childress, your coach. That's right, you heard me. I'm your real estate coach. And why do I say that? Because everybody needs a coach. We all need some coaching, whether it's in real estate, business, health, fitness, mental mindset, whatever you're trying to achieve or grow. We need a coach. We need somebody that's been where we're trying to go so that we can get to where we want to be. And if you're going down a road with no map, you're stuck, man. You are stuck. So I just want to say welcome. Thank you for listening in on our radio show or our podcast. Thanks to all my Facebook fans that are watching us right now. I love you guys. You guys are tremendous. Even the ones that come back and watch it later, because we'll get hundreds and hundreds of views on these things. So if you're listening to this on the radio show or the podcast, you've got to join us on our Facebook fan page called Creative Real Estate Training Academy. Creative Real Estate Training Academy. You got to get over there. You got to join us. You got to be part of what we do so you can see my craziness. Why? I don't know why. Maybe your life's boring. Who knows? You need a little excitement? Watch me for a little bit. I got a little excitement for everybody. But that's what it's all about. It's about getting you engaged, being here with you, getting to know you. I can't answer your questions on the radio unless you're on my Facebook page. If you're on Facebook, then you can type questions in and we can answer them and we can be part of what we're doing. But let me just help everybody that's coming on board right now get on the same page. What is that page? You are in a real estate investing talk show with your host, Zack Childress, and the lovely Jill in the background. Say hi, Jill.
Hi, Jill.
She is. So if you guys wonder how I'm talking and answering your questions at the same time, it's magic. It's a magic moment. How's that song go?
I don't know that you were going to sing.
The people from Canada, they don't know our songs. That was a joke, by the way, so I don't want to, well, who cares if I offend you? Anyways, moving on. I am going to tell you our 4 main points of communication today, which is what we're going to be talking about, and I'm excited about this, is communication with a seller. There's 4 main points: fact-finding, the set, negotiation, and the close. 4 main points of dealing with a real estate motivated seller lead. You've got to understand these 4 main points. It all comes underneath communication. And let me explain something to you. If you are horrible at communication, you will be horrible at getting good deals, okay? Because we have to communicate. We have to talk with sellers. We have to get people ready to go. Or you've got to train somebody. Speaking of training, for my Facebook fans, you got to share this message. Let's say you've got somebody on your team that you want to bring in more involved, then you need to share this with them. Get them to listen, get them engaged, get them learning about this business, because I'm going to tell you something, there is more to this business than just cashing checks. Cashing checks is the reward from it. Learning the process is what we have to go through to cash those checks. So that's really what today's message is all about when we get started here. So for those of you that are listening in and you're just joining me, this is Zack Childress with your real estate investing talk show for what's working in today's market. And I want you to all be on the same page. Go to my Creative Real Estate Training Academy fan page on Facebook, because we are going to dive in, because I have one goal today, one goal only, and that is to teach you about the art of communication with a seller lead. And if you can take anything away from today, hopefully you'll take a very powerful process, which is understanding that your communication level is at the highest level it needs to be when we're dealing with sellers, okay? So let's jump right in. And then we'll take a quick break on the radio side, and I'll come back to you, Facebook, to answer questions that you have, okay? So jumping right in, let's talk about this. So we have 4 stages: the fact-finding stage, the set, negotiation, and the close. These all kind of work together in a format of communication. Because look, we all know we want to close the deal, right? Like, closing the deal is the number one thing we want, because that's how we get paid. But to close the deal, we have to be able to negotiate. So I'm going to walk you backwards real quick so you understand the methodology behind this. Closing the deal is getting contracts signed, getting them to agree to seller financing, whatever the strategy is that we have to deploy on that deal. But to get them to close, we have to be really good at getting our negotiations down so that we get what we want and they get what they want. And that there is a level or equal playing ground. Okay, now for that negotiation to ever happen, you've got to be really good at creating the set. And the set is the bridge between fact-finding and negotiation. It is where we've been on the phone finding out the facts that we need to then create a set so that they will show back up so that we can negotiate the deal with them to be able to close the deal. So just to give you kind of a timeline overview of that. So let's talk about fact-finding. So the number one thing when it comes to communicating with a seller is really about your presence on that telephone call or the meeting at the property, because you should not be coming across aggressive at all. Okay? Aggressive people lose. There's a time to be aggressive, but it is not ever in the fact-finding stage. Let me be clear on this. The fact-finding stage is the stage in which we are building rapport and we are identifying the needs of the seller and the needs of the property, in which we can then determine how we can execute the deal. So in fact-finding, we need to be asking questions to loosen everything up, like, tell me about the property. And one of the things you might want to write down is open-ended questions. And listen, if you have any of my courses, Automated Deal Maker, 30-Day Fast Track, Co-Wholesaling, Quick Cash System, Quick Start Wholesaling, I mean, I could name on and on and on. We have scripts in there. Scripts are very important. Scripts are something that you have to follow to be successful, especially scripts that have been written by people like myself who have done thousands of transactions all over the United States, because we have honed in those scripts and we've made those scripts very useful when it comes to passively gathering information. And so in the fact-finding stage, we need to create a dialogue up front. And you guys need to write this down. If you're riding down the road listening to me on the radio, please don't write this down. Go to my Facebook page later on, Creative Real Estate Training Academy, so that you can watch the video in a replay so that you can take notes then. But if the case may be, fact-finding is we have to build rapport. We have to ask open-ended questions. One of the main things you need to make sure that seller understands when you initiate that conversation is that you are interested in buying the property if it meets your needs. And that is how we need to establish communication, because they need to know that you're not wasting their time. They need to know that you're interested in buying. They need to know these things and that you're not an agent trying to find a listing. So we initiate the conversation by coming straight out and saying, listen, I saw your property. I wanted to ask you some questions about your property, but just so that you know, I am interested in buying it, once I gather some information and it fits the needs for my buying criteria. So that does two things, really. Number one, it sets the expectation that you are interested in buying it. But number two, it sets the expectation that you will only buy it if it meets your buying criteria. So now they have to basically themselves sell that property to you to meet your buying criteria, and not the opposite. See, a lot of junior investors that I notice in the market is they come in all fresh and green and excited, and the next thing you know, they're selling themselves to the seller on why they can buy, instead of the seller selling them on why they should buy their house. It's a big difference, and it's all initiated literally within the first 2 to 3 minutes of the phone call, and it's how you set expectations and how you set positioning. Positioning is crucial in any fact-finding stage, okay? Your position is, I'm gathering information to determine if this property is going to meet my buying criteria, but I am interested in this property. So do you mind if we spend a few minutes together and I ask you some questions about your property? Very simple. Rewind this and listen to that and repeat that over and over and over. I'm very interested in buying your property. I would love, to ask you a few questions about it if you have a few minutes. And if the property meets my buying criteria, then I think we could move forward to a second phone call. Setting expectation. Then now I've got them knowing that I'm interested in buying. So at that point, what I'm going to do is I'm going to push them into questions about their property. Open-ended questions like, can you tell me about the property? And, let them talk, bedrooms, baths, square footage, blah, blah, blah. And another question you're going to want to ask them is, what type of repairs are needed on this property? What type of repairs are needed? And if they say to you, oh, it doesn't need anything, then you need to understand all properties need work, especially if you're following the buying criteria in which we teach, which is 3-2s, 10, 15 plus years older. And if they say, oh, it doesn't need any work, your immediate response to that question or that answer should be, oh, you've updated everything. You're not challenging them. You're not saying, oh, well, what do you mean it doesn't need any work? Well, all properties need work. That's going to create a wall between you and that seller in a heartbeat. But you want to send out a message, Like, oh, you're excited to know, oh, you've updated everything. You've updated the bathrooms, the kitchen, the floor, the landscaping. You've updated it all. Because their response is going to be, oh, well, no, we haven't updated everything. And your answer to that should be, oh. And that's it. That's it. When they say, no, we haven't updated everything, you say, oh. Give them the oh, like, oh, I see, right? And here's why. You just want to make a note. Oh, so you make a note on your sheet, hasn't updated everything. This is the ammunition we need when we move into stage 3, which is negotiations, so that we can bring this up later. Well, you said that you hadn't, updated everything. I'm going to need to make sure I do that. The other thing is you're going to ask them, about their property and do they need any work, blah, blah, blah. But another question that's very important, and this is in our scripts as well, is a question that puts them in a self-defensive mode, meaning they're trying to defend their reasoning for selling. So if they tell you, well, it doesn't need a whole lot of work, I love this house, blah, 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 and this house is so beautiful, 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 beautiful. Well, I would immediately turn around and ask them a question. Well, it seems like you really love this house. And you notice I'm not calling it a home. Never call it a home. People don't want to sell their home. They want to sell a house or an asset. That's what they want to sell. Home comes with memories. So I would move them into the dialogue of saying, well, it sounds like your house is really nice. I'm just curious, why would you sell it? So that makes them think, oh man, he might think something's wrong with it. And the reason we ask that question the way we do is because we want them telling us pain points. Well, I'm selling it because I went through a divorce, or I'm selling it because, I just can't keep up with the payments anymore, or I'm selling it because I got a job somewhere else and I have to move. This is all ammunition for us in the fact-finding stage that allows us to negotiate after the set. See, where a lot of people go wrong is as soon as they get that information, they try to negotiate. And the problem with that is a seller will pick up on that and they will stop sharing information with you. They'll say, oh, well, if I say this, he's going to say that. So then it moves into a mind game. If he says this, I say that. If they say that, I say this. We don't want that. We want them to speak freely. So as we're gathering this information that is golden for us for negotiation, we don't repeat it and get them in an offensive mode. We just store that information on our fact sheet so that when we go to negotiate, we can bring this information back up. So those are some very important things. Those are why are you selling it? So they'll tell you all these reasons. And then you got to dig a little bit deeper with them, is there anything about the property that I need to be aware of? Is there any loans on the property? Is there any debt on the property? Is there any liens on the property? And if they say yes, there is. Okay, is there a second or third mortgage? How much do you owe on the property? And some people will share that information with you freely if you've done the first part correctly, which is getting their defense down. Now, some people won't share that information with you, and here's a great way of getting the information, because I want to know what they owe on the property, because that's going to help me determine where my offer is. Because let's say the property's worth $200,000, they owe $180,000. Well, there's no way in the world I can offer them a low price product. If I need to buy it at $120,000, they can't even sell it to me at $120,000. You understand? So the beauty of this question allows me to understand, oh, they owe $180,000, it's worth $200,000. There's no way I can offer a cash offer, so I have to structure a seller financing term with this that will give me the ability to then come in and present an offer that I know that they can actually acknowledge or they can actually accept. And so one of the things that I hear from students all the time say is yeah, but I have sellers who won't give me the financial information. And that's fine. You just have to reposition the question. So the question would be something like, listen, if I can take this and get an approval to buy your property, they're going to give me an approval for 2 checks. 1 check to pay off your loans and 1 check to pay to you. How much would we have to make the second check for to pay off your loans? Oh, $120,000. Boom, I got it. Right? Now I know they owe $120,000. Because I've in their mind, they're seeing 2 checks. They're seeing, oh, he's going to give me 2 checks. Well, yeah, I need 1 for $120,000 to pay off my loans, and I need the rest for myself. That's all I need to know. I don't say anything else. I don't even bring it back up. I just make a note of it, and I move on to the next question. And that's the beauty of fact finding. See, fact finding is never intent. Its intent is never for you to dig in, dig in, dig in. Its intent is just to find out the facts. Just to find out, what do you need to know about the property? Did they do any remodels? Was it permitted? You know, what's the scenario on the property? You know, what do they pay for insurance typically? Is it in a flood zone? You know, these are things you need to understand, like what type of repairs need to be done? Have they done any repairs? And another question that you're going to want to ask is and write this down. What do you want out of the property? Not how much do you want to sell it for, but what do you want out of the property? I'll never ask them, is that the lowest you'll go on the first offer or the first communication? It just makes no sense. You haven't even built rapport. I know some people, the gurus, will tell you that, but I'm your coach, and I'll tell you what really works, okay? You got to get into the relationship stage with these sellers. And so I will ask them very clearly, hey, can you just tell me, I mean, it sounds like something that I could probably, you know, move forward with on, but what are you trying to get out of the property? Well, you know, I'm really just trying to get like 40,000 out of it. Boom! Now I know for them, they're just trying to make 40 grand on this house, which now I know 40 grand is negotiable. And some of them will say, well, you know, I'm just trying to get, you know, 180,000 out of this. Okay, great. My next question after that is, what do you think the property's worth? What do you think it's worth? Well, John sold his down the road for 280. Oh, John did? Oh, that's great. So can you tell me something? So John sold his for 280. So do you think yours is worth 280? Yeah, I think so. Listen. My next question, this is a qualifying, discrediting question. If my seller I'm talking to here, let's say his name's Rob. And I say, Rob, so what do you think it's worth? Well, John sold his house for 280. Oh, 280, that's great. Is that what you think yours is worth? Yeah, it's probably worth around that. Great, Rob. Well, let me ask you a question. Do you have an appraisal for that? See, I don't need to say anything else. And here's why. The 98% chance they have no appraisal. So now they understand that I'm all about the numbers, and I'm not going to take them for their word. And if they don't have an appraisal, all I say is this. You guys ready? I go, I see. I see. That's all I say. I don't say anything else. Because now they're going, oh, this guy don't believe me. This guy don't believe me. I wonder if my property's even worth 280. But let's say for the small chance they do have an appraisal. Here's what I've learned. It's usually 3, 4, or even 5 years old. So if they say, yeah, actually I do have an appraisal. I say, great. Was it done in the last 6 months? No. Oh. That's all I do, right? I'm not trying to get into a verbatim argument with them over what they believe it's worth and what I believe it's worth. I'm just trying to gather the facts, because then I'm going to come back in negotiation and I'm going to lay those facts down. So guys, that's just some tips on fact finding. I'm going to take a quick break for the radio. We're going to come back we're going to talk about the set, negotiations, and the close. Be right back. Facebook, what you guys got for me out there? Any questions, Jill?
We have, excuse me, I'm losing my voice. We have Toby. She's back and she's on it. She says it's great to know. She's going to be reiterating this training several times. Susan, she says hello.
Susan, Toby.
Levi's on here.
Levi's in the house. Love it. Love it, love it, love it. Where's your guys' questions at? You got to stop writing and start typing. I want to know what you need help with. I need to help you. I need to know what you need help with. That's how we get your money right. Get you help.
So I'll ask you a question. See,
what you got?
Everybody else is so quiet.
I know Jill's got questions. You guys know Jill's an investor. She's making some money out there on real estate.
Jill,
you guys didn't know that, did you?
All the questions that she can.
What you got, Jill?
So, okay, so you say you take somebody like me who cannot be quiet for nothing.
That's your nemesis.
It is. It is, and I know it. So how do you control that when you're in fact-finding stage?
Fact-finding stage is about communication, though. But here's the thing: when we have a tendency, as human beings, when we're communicating, if we feel the other person's uncomfortable, then we want to make them comfortable, so we talk. Like, just, that's their natural being. Now, some people aren't that way, like Rob, but you know. But my point is you have to remember there's a purpose behind what we're doing.
Right.
And so when they point something out that you know is just absolutely false, you just don't say it. You save it for the negotiation, because as soon as you start pointing out things they're doing wrong or things they're saying that you aren't right, it puts the seller in a defensive mode, to where now you become, instead of a free communication to where they're right, oh, just share with me, then they start questioning you. They start like, well, what if I say this, are they going to question it? If I say this, are they going to question it? So it's better for you in the very first stage of fact finding is to not point out anything they're saying is wrong, but just give them the
So I'm good at, you know what I do? I go, oh, that's not bad.
I don't know if I'd say that either.
I know.
I don't know if I'd say that.
I know. I can't tell you how many times Rob has looked at me and been like, shut up.
Yeah, I don't know if I would say that, because that makes, in their mind, that makes them feel like it's okay with you.
Right.
And we don't want them to feel like it's okay. We just don't want them to feel like we feel anything.
Right. So
Right.
I'm not good at that.
Yeah, we just want them to be like, oh, they're gathering information. I mean, you should be nice and courteous and smile and be like, oh, that sounds great. Oh, that sounds great. But when they say something that you want to have them to move into a mindset of unsurety, that's when they say something, you go, oh.
How, when you read them, how can you tell that they're in an unsure mindset?
Body posture. If you're in front of them, it's all body posture. It's, are they, tilting, looking at you weird? Are they leaning back? Are they? If you can see them calibrating their next sentence before they say it, that's a sign of someone being in an unsure state. They're questioning your intent in that process. Someone who's free, I mean, they're just going to just talk. And so when we put someone in an unsure state, especially in a fact-finding stage, it's going to make it harder for us to create the set.
Right.
Because the set is what's the most important part. Is because if we can't get them back on the phone for negotiations, I mean, it's a waste of time. So
Gotcha.
It's a waste of time. All right, what else we got out there? In the Facebook world.
Everybody is so dang quiet.
All right, then. I like the hearts. You make my heart go.
We have a lot of people digging the conversation, though.
Digging it. Dig deeper, guys. Digging deeper on communications. Remember, if you're not getting a seller to say yes, it's because you didn't get the seller to say yes. You got to own your own life.
Toby, while we were talking, she said, never do that.
Never do what?
About me, and how I'm like, oh, it's okay.
Yeah, we don't do that. Oh, it's okay. It's okay, mate. It's okay.
And then Levi, he says, great advice. Susan says, I really like this information.
Susan, it's because we like you. That's why.
Levi says, can you explain a little bit more about cluster zip code?
Not on today's call, Levi. All right, we got to get rocking here.
All right, so we are going to go back on air in 5, 4, 3, 2.
Welcome back. It's Zack Childress with your real estate investing talk show for today's market. So if you're just joining us or you caught us on Facebook just now or on the radio just now, we are in the middle of I gotta remind myself to eat or I just don't eat. So anyways, if you're joining us back, that was my alarm. Thanks for going off and reminding me that. But this is Zack Childress with Real Estate Investing Talk Show for today's market. We're talking about communication with sellers and what the 4 stages of that is. We just went through fact finding and why that's important in the positioning of fact finding. And not just the positioning, but really making sure that our intent is stated very clearly. Now, if we've done a great job on fact finding, that moves us into the set. So the set is crucial, because here's why. Once we finished with fact finding, we have to set that prospect for another call. So we always communicate with the seller and we say, look, and when I'm done with all the questions, listen, I say this. Your property seems like the exact property that we purchased in that area. Your property seems like the exact property that we purchased in that area. You know, we typically buy one or two ways. One way is we offer you an all-cash offer, but it is at a discount. And our second way is we can typically pay more for a property if there's some type of terms agreement worked out. So that's our acknowledgement at the end of that. We buy one of two ways. And so we're setting the expectation for the follow-up call. All cash at a discount, or we pay more if we can agree on some terms type of program. And if they say, well, what's the difference in them? And you say simply, well, listen, Rob, I would love to communicate that with you, but I need to do some research before I can really tell you what's going to be the best option for us buying your house. And so we don't want to get into any detailed information or numbers on the first call. Even if they say to you, well, just make me an offer. You would simply say, you know what, I would love to make you an offer, but I really can't until I really understand what I'm making an offer on. That's why I needed this information. So here's where you make the set. You let them know. You say, listen, I want to make you the best offer I can make you based on the situation. Would you agree with me if I could spend some time to come back with the very best offer? You know, that would be what you're looking for. Yes, I am looking for your best offer, because we know they want that, okay? The other way I set the set is I say, and would it be okay with you if I brought you back a couple of options? So if one doesn't fit your need, maybe another one does, and we could still work this deal out. Yeah, that sounds great. I like options. Great. Well, for me to do that, I'm going to need about 24, maybe 48 hours to run the numbers on, to run the numbers on this property and to evaluate the neighborhood. I'm giving them two understandings that I'm creating two numbers, one on the property and one on the neighborhood. So it really gives me two ways of negotiation, okay? And so I established that early. Well, okay, well, I'm going to need a little time to research your property and to figure out some numbers and to research the neighborhood. So if today's Tuesday, I would say to them, does Thursday work for you for a follow-up call? Yes, Thursday does work for me. Pay attention. If they said no to Thursday, I would say Friday is the last day of this week that I can get with you on the phone to get you an offer to be able to get this deal under contract. I'm going to now start the aggressiveness. If they say no to Thursday, I'm going to push for Friday and let them know that that is the day. It's got to happen. It's got to happen on Friday, because I don't want it to drag out, because number one, they're going to forget. Number two, somebody else could have came along. So I'm setting it, okay? So Thursday, if they say yes to Thursday, I say, great, I have an afternoon spot and an evening spot available. Which one works better for you? Well, I'm going to be better in the evenings. Great, I have a 6:30 available. Can I go ahead and put you down for 6:30? And if they say, yeah, 6:30 should be great, that's when I'm going to confirm that set. I'm going to say, Rob, I've got you down for 6:30, which is typically past the hours I work, so I'm going to work late so that I can make sure that we can communicate together on this deal to validate that we're on the same page, so I can help you get this property sold to our company so that we can move forward on this. Are we on the same page, Rob? Yes, we are on the same page, okay? I'm confirming that set, and I'm acknowledging that I'm putting in extra time to make that deal work for him. So I'm going to be on this call at 6:30, Rob. I just want to make sure that's Thursday at 6:30. You'll be there as well. Yes, I'll be there. Do you need me to email you or send you a text message to remind you? But you don't seem like that type of person, but I can remind you if for some reason you forget that you're in the middle of selling your house. right? Like, why would you forget about selling your house? But I'm going to acknowledge it one more time. I just want to make sure I can send you a text message or email you to remind you that we're going to be on this call at 6:30, just in case you forget that, we're in the middle of trying to buy your house right now and you're trying to sell it. No, I won't forget that. Okay, great. Then I just want to make sure we're confirmed. That's the set, guys. That's the set. I've set them. So now they know that they have a call Thursday at 6:30 with me after hours. I'm coming in late to make that call for them. And that gives me Tuesday to Wednesday, Wednesday to Thursday to get all my numbers put together. That's where I move into the research and analyze stage. That's where I'm going to run my numbers. I'm going to look at the deal. I'm going to look at the neighborhood. I'm going to find comps. I'm going to factor in what I think it's going to need for remodel. And I'm going to put all my offer bases together. But it's also the period in which I know what I can and can't do when it comes to negotiations, okay? Which means if I've talked to that seller ahead of time and I already know they owe 180 on that property, there's no way I'm going to buy that house at 120. You understand? There's no way. So if I just got back on the call and said, well, I'll pay you 120, they're going to say no. Why? Because they have no other option. So why would I only be prepared to present one offer when I already know they can't do it? You can't. That's why you've got to understand multiple ways of investing so that you can lock up all types of deals. That's why you need a coach. That's why you need a coach. You need somebody that can help you structure deals that you wouldn't know how to do on your own. That's the whole purpose of a coach, is to show you how to make money when you didn't think there was any other way to make money. That's what a coach does, not a freaking guru. A guru just wants to spit information at you all day. Not a coach. A coach is living it, doing it, dealing with it, practicing it, preaching it, putting it together, making money, going to closings, and talking to sellers. That's what sorry, I got a little excited there. But it's just how it works with me, I get on a roll sometimes. I just feel like, whoo, got to get that out. So I feel refreshed now. So my point is that you've got to make sure that you know what you're doing before you get back on that phone for negotiation. So let's move into negotiation now. You ready? So when I get on the phone, my 6:30 appointment, ring, 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 Rob answers, says hello. The very first thing I want to do is commend him for being someone that follows through with a commitment. Now that's a big thing, because here's why. If me and him agree on a price today, and he's got somebody else in his ear, I need him to be on the same page with me and that he's a committed person. He follows through with what he says. That shows integrity. I am going to build his picture that I see him at a high level. Hey, Rob, thanks for showing up at 6:30. Man, that says a lot about you. Showing up on time. You're obviously committed to sell this property. I think that shows high integrity in you, not to blow me off. I mean, I just really respect you for that, Rob. So let's talk a little bit more about your deal. I'm setting the expectation with him right out the gate that, I think it's great that he's there. So when I get him to agree on a price, I don't want him coming back and renegotiating that. I get him to agree on a price. I want him to be the same man that showed up at 6:30 and told me he was going to do it, and he did it. So when I verbally get him to agree to a price, I want him to be the same man that's going to follow through and sign that paperwork. I'm setting expectation mentally with him early on, okay? Everything is about setting expectation and positioning, guys. Communication is about positioning and expectation. If you don't get that, you will be a flounder out of the water trying to get sellers to say yes to you. And that's something you need to understand. So when I'm on that phone and I'm going through, well, look, I've done some research. I researched your area. Here's some things I found. I'm now going to be a little more aggressive. I'm now going to start putting my negotiation hat on and pointing out things that I have found that could be listen, never point something out and make it their fault. Listen, I may say, look, I did some research and there's, 40 sex offenders in your neighborhood. Man, I'm sure you weren't aware of that, and I can understand why you want to move so quickly. I'm not making it their fault, but I'm making it an avenue for the reason they're leaving. And I would say, this is just something that I've got to overcome when I purchase your property. And it's something that I'm sure we can work through, but my research pulled all this up. Another thing I might pull up, the school zone. Man, I did some research in that neighborhood, and that school zone is really bad over there. Is that the reason you're moving? Do you have kids and maybe that school zone wasn't working out for them? I'm now going to start that whole questioning, why they're doing what they're doing process. Man, I would want to move my kids out of there if they were in that school zone. And then I move into the property. Now, let me say this to you. The best negotiation in the world is never to throw a number out. The best negotiation in the world is to, listen to me, it's to build the future pace of their life once they sell it. It's to start laying out the process in which their life is going to change once they sell the asset. So I would then dig back into my fact finding and I would start talking about it. Well, Rob, I noticed that, when we were talking last, you wanted to move, you had a new job in Texas, and man, is Texas one of the best states in the world. I love Texas. There's so much to do there. The cost of living is low. Property taxes can be a little high, but man, you can make a great living there. And just the lifestyle is great over there. Rob, so tell me, where are you moving at in Texas? Moving to Austin. Oh, I love Austin. It's like one of the best cities in the world. Man, I hope that we put this together so you can start your life over. And, I'm ready. As long as me and you can agree, on a price point, I think that you could be off and moving in the next 30 days. But, I don't want this deal to get killed over a few $1,000s. You heard me? I don't want this deal to get killed over a few $1,000s because I really want you to get to Texas. Man, I'm kind of jealous that you're moving to Texas. I'm getting him visually focused on his future process, where he's going, what he's doing, so that I can get him saying, man, I got to get this thing sold. He's right. Texas is the bomb. I got to get to Texas, okay? So I'm building that picture. The next thing I'm going to do is go through the fact-finding stage with him and say, look, Rob, I know we communicated, and I know you said there wasn't a lot that needed to be done, but you hadn't really remodeled anything yet. And if I've got to take on your burden, and I got to now go and find the buyer that you couldn't find, and I got to put the risk in this of fixing it up and putting money into this thing and hoping that I get a buyer in time. And, who knows, I could be sitting on this thing 6 to 12 months. But I'm willing to take that risk and I'm willing to take on this headache because, ultimately I think it will work out. And I'd like to see you moved over onto Texas and do your thing. But the reality is, Rob, there's more work to this than you probably are even aware of, only because you're not in the market and you're not out and looking at deals and doing deals like I am every day. But that's okay, Rob. That's not your fault. That's not your fault. That's not your fault. That's not your fault. You're just the victim. It's not your fault. Nothing could be your fault, Rob, right? Nothing could be your fault, right? Play into that. At that point, I then remember one key factor, and that is everything he's told me I'm going to repeat. Here's what he thought it was worth, but he didn't have an appraisal. Here's why he wanted to sell, and here's why this needs to be done. I am now bringing up everything that I did not bring up in the fact-finding stage that allows me to move forward with a better deal with him. That's crucial. Once I've established that, then I move into the numbers. So when you're negotiating numbers, you've got to get to one crucial number, and that is the equity. Remember that. You've got to get to the equity. If he wants $180,000 for the house and he owes $120,000, then he's got $60,000 of equity. I do not want to negotiate $180,000. And here's why. Depending on how long they've lived in that house, there's so much emotional attachment to that property that it becomes not so much of a negotiation on facts anymore as it does a release of emotions. Okay? So if someone has lived in a house for 20, 30 years, man, they've watched their kids being raised. They've had parties. They've heard the pitter-patter of kids running around and cries and fights and makeups and Christmases and holidays. That's meaningful to people. Like that's the heart of a home, right? That's the heartbeat that lives within that home. Is when you look into a corner and you have a flashback of, Johnny and Billy playing and opening Christmas presents. That's what they see too. So you have to acknowledge that, not verbally, but you have to acknowledge that as a great negotiator. So when I know they've lived in the house a long time, I've got to separate the home and the equity. So I simply say, I go back to the original question. Listen, I think I can get approved to cut 2 checks. One to pay off the debt and make sure the house has been taken care of. And one for you so that you can move on with your journey. and move on to Texas. Because as soon as I separate the two, the house is gone now. Now all I'm talking about is equity and the cash they want out of it. And that is what I negotiate, that equity. You get good at that, you'll get good at negotiating anything, okay? One of the other things I want to leave you with before I move on into the close is really about understanding the key formula of breaking down the numbers and explaining that and explaining those numbers and going through, hey, look, here's what I think it would sell for. Here's what it would cost to resell it. Even if you sold it yourself, you take out 10% in resale fees. Here's what I think I'm going to need to put into this thing to get it to that point to sell it. Or if you want to go borrow money and do it yourself, Mr. Seller, you could. And here's the whole time that I think I'm going to need on this. And so what happens is he might have a number in his mind and you might will it down to here where you're off by $35,000, let's say. But then if he says, oh, that's low, that's when you can go back now and say, well, look, I get that it could be low, but it's cash now. Let's say that you've got to go borrow this money to fix this property up and it doesn't sell for $200,000. You could lose some of that. The other equation is you got to pay taxes and payments for the next 3, 6, 8 months to get it sold, and real estate commissions that you have to pay. So I'm doing what's called a net proceeds to the seller, working it down with them and saying, look, even if you did this on your own and you factored in your resale fees and you factored in the hold time and you factored in your payments and you factored in your taxes, you probably wouldn't get 180. You might be down to, 160, 155. So really, now this is where the rubber hits the road. So really, Rob, we're only a few $1,000s off. See, I set that expectation early because why? I knew we would be off. I'm bringing back what I said to him earlier by, I want him to move on and start his life over, and I hope a few $1,000s doesn't ruin that for him. So now when I'm going through net proceeds and my expected purchase price, and I'm breaking all that down for him, and we're only missing each other by $7,000 or $8,000, that's when I bring back up, Rob, we're only really a few $1,000s off. I hope this doesn't kill our deal. Guys, that is when you're negotiating. When you've already thought the conversation out so far in advance and you know you have the ability to lead that conversation, you can already overcome objections before they even happen. Guys, that is negotiation. I'll be right back for you guys on the radio show. This is Zack Childress, Real Estate Investing Talk. We're coming back to part 4, communication with the seller, the close. Facebook. You got to eat this stuff up, guys. This is like hardcore, raw, right at you. Raw, right at you, right here today. What do we got, Jill?
All right, so Toby has a question.
What we got, Toby?
She says, talking points relating to your research. Will some of these talking points relating to your research offend the owner? I wouldn't want to offend the seller by making him or her feel I'm determining they didn't choose wisely when they initially bought the property.
Actually, Toby, that's what you want to do. But you want to do it in a way that it's not offensive. So that's why you heard me say it's not your fault. It's not your fault. It's not your fault. So if I'm trying to establish that they got into a bad deal and they bought wrong, I would simply say, look, looking at this, the reality is Rob, sounds to me like you probably bought this wrong, and that's not your fault. That's the agent's fault. It's not your fault, Rob. That's the agent's fault. So we want to make sure, because here's what, people don't want anything to be their fault. We live in a victim world, right? Everything is somebody else's fault. It's never my own. So it's okay to let them feel that way. They already feel that way. Look, it's not your fault. Because what it does for them is it makes them feel like you're on their side. It makes them understand, okay, you know what? It isn't my fault. It is somebody else's fault. It's okay. Let them feel that way. But you will have to acknowledge some of these things, but it's not the acknowledgement that offends them, it's how you relay that acknowledgement is what offends them. Look, I can look somebody straight in the face and tell them they're a piece of, what, but I can have them laughing right after it and high-fiving each other, because it's not what you say, it's how you deliver what you say. And that's the difference between someone who's being abrasive and someone who's communicating effectively. And so you got to think of that.
Okay, so I did ask Toby how her conversations went with her seller from last week.
Yes.
She said,
So, by the way, those of you that are watching in, Toby had a meeting last week with a seller who's one of our favorite fans on here, and we want to know how that went.
Yes. So she said, well, it seemed to go well. The seller is currently refinancing and improving some things in and around the home to improve the seller value.
That's not good, Toby. If they're already taking the initiative to refinance the property, which means they're pulling money out to do all this work to the property, then that means they're going to ask for more because of that. So the deal there would have been... you in the next one, you'll need to be aware of this, is what I just went through, breaking down a net proceeds to them and what your offer is, based on communication of if they had to go get the money out of the property, what a refinance would cost them, what holding time would cost them, what reselling with an agent would cost them, what taxes would cost them, proration would cost them, breaking all that down and saying, look, if you sold this in 6 to 8 months, this is really what you would be left with, and here's what I'm offering you right now. We're only a few $1,000s off. Now, my few thousand and their few thousand might be different, because even if it's $12,000 difference, I'm still going to say we're only a few $1,000s off. But you've got to set that early. You got to set that conversation early, and that's why we build the future pacing with them to get them wanting to go, get them excited about spending the money and moving. And then we say, the transition, we say, look, I love this. I want to help you move on. I want to get you where you need to be. And I hope, Toby, that a few $1,000s won't kill this deal. So then I move into the numbers. So that is the communication, really the transition of building the future tense of them moving to getting them to accept your offer. Now remember, you're not going to do this with an agent. An agent is horrible at negotiating with, because an agent doesn't care. They have no intent to negotiate with you. You basically make an offer, they go to the seller and they say, do you accept or not? And then they come back to you and say no or yes. This is dealing with private seller leads, which we talked about last week. You've got to find more private seller leads.
Toby says, wow, I'm learning.
That's what we're here for, Toby. That's why we come here, girl. We come to learn. Welcome to my world. I'm changing things up around this industry. I'm making you the priority and getting you to do deals, because eventually what's going to happen, let me tell you what's going to happen, more and more people are going to keep consuming this information. They're going to start doing deals, and then they're going to realize to get to the next level, they need to hire someone from my team to help them get there. We want to help people. We want to coach people, and we need to help people get started so that they can reinvest in their business. That's why we do this. It's a win-win. I'm helping people grow. I'm getting massive testimonials. We're helping people all over the world. You realize we have students in Canada, Australia, California, New York, Florida, and everywhere in between. Because why? They're tired of all the gurus. They want a real coach to get them to where they're going. That's what it's about.
Toby says she has another meeting set up for next week.
Good, Toby. Good.
So she's moving. Levi, he says he's going to rewatch this live video 100 times.
I agree. Watch it 400 times.
Yep.
There's a lot of good information I just spit out in the last 45 minutes.
Yep.
I mean, there's a ton of good information. So, speaking of that, I need to wrap this up with the close. So, we got to get back going.
5, 4, 3, 2.
All right, welcome back to your real estate investing talk show for today's market with Zack Childress, your host. And if you've been watching or listening to us, or you're just joining us, well, welcome to the party. But we've been talking about communication with sellers. We've talked about fact finding and why that's important and what you need to do with it. We've talked about the set and what you need to understand about the set and the power of the set. We've talked about negotiations and why negotiation is the key to getting them to understand the numbers so that they say yes to your offer and not them trying to go out and figure it out on their own. Which leads us to the close. The close. So before I go into the close, if you're just now catching us on the radio show or any of our podcasts, you need to go over to Facebook and join us at Creative Real Estate Training Academy and follow us on there so you can watch all of our videos. We do these every Tuesday at 1:30 Eastern Time Zone. We do our Dig Deeper book review or interview with an expert on Wednesdays at 1:30 Eastern Time Zone. And we have lots of great information. We give out Mondays, we send out our real estate success tips videos. Thursdays, we do our student success stories. We're constantly giving to our community, and I encourage you to do this. And for all my Facebook fans that are watching right now, share this stream. If you've gotten any value out of the last 45 minutes, give me a thumbs up, give me a heart, give me a smiley face, give me some interaction to say this is powerful. I love this. This is what is game changing. Keep sharing this. Keep giving that interaction and share this stream. Share it. Share it with someone. Share it on your wall. Share it with someone you know that's in real estate. Get them engaged, because communication is the key to the success of anyone's business. And make sure, if you're just joining us on Facebook, that you like our page, you follow us on this page, and give us a comment. Write a question. We'd be happy to answer and lead you down the path. So I appreciate all those little hearts. And how do I catch one of them? Let me see. Let me grab me one of them. Come here. Let me get that. Come here. I'm gonna get you. All right. So anyways, the close. What's the close all about? So the close, for all my fans and friends and family watching this thing, the close is where we get the seller from agreeing yes to a price point to getting them to sign the paperwork, okay? And let me just say this to you. The close is as important as the fact-finding stage, because in the close, a lot of people are scared of the close because they have to send contracts. Yes, you do, but remember this when I say this. All contracts sent will always be renegotiated. It's just the way it is. There's terminology and language in there that you're trying to protect yourself, and they want to protect themselves. So be okay with the contract going back and forth a few times. It's just the way it is until you get it agreed on. But when you get them to agree to a certain price point from the negotiation, and you get them to agree to a certain terms program through a seller financing structure, you need to move immediately into the paperwork. Immediately. Don't wait 3 or 4 days. You said, so I would say, Rob, so we're on the same page. 140 is a good price point for you? Yeah, I can take 140. Great, Rob. So here's what I'm going to do. I just want to respect your time. I'm going to let you go ahead and get to dinner and spend time with your family and start planning your trip to Austin, Texas, okay? Get it ready to go, because we're about to close this deal, Rob. I'm going to get all the paperwork done. I should have it to you in the morning or by tomorrow afternoon. I'm setting expectation again. I want him to keep thinking about moving forward while I get the paperwork ready. And at that point, I've got to move forward with the purchase and sales agreement. Now remember, if you're a wholesaler or you're just buying and holding it, listen to me when I say this about the close. Always put in there that the buyer reserves the rights to pick title company. Always put in there that the buyer reserves the rights to take title and name or entity of choice. Always put in there that the buyer reserves the rights to pre-market the property before closing. Always put in there that the buyer reserves the rights to an extension due to financial purposes only. Always put that in there. Why? Because it gives you the ability to control the contract even further if you need it as a wholesaler, or even if you need to close and you need extra time. Those are crucial to that. The other thing is this. If the seller says they want to send you the contract, it's okay. It's okay, man. Okay? It's okay. I watched Godfather, so I'm stuck on this. It's okay, man. And Scarface. I had a Scarface and Godfather weekend. It's okay. Say hello to my little friends. Anyways, sorry. That's the way I think all day long. But if they want to send you a contract, it's okay. Let them send you a contract, okay? Because here's why. When they send you a contract, if all you do is you put an addendum together and you put down everything you want in that addendum, you sign their contract, and under your signature you write C addendum. And you sign your addendum and you send them both back, okay? Because an addendum overrides or supersedes anything on the original contract. That's the beauty. There is no verbal negotiation. Send me whatever you want to send me, because I'm going to send you my addendum that tells you everything that I want from this deal. Done. The other thing is get your title company ready. Once you've got everybody on the same page and they've signed contracts, send everything to escrow. Get that thing ready to go. Because remember, a contract is really null and void until earnest money has been placed on that contract. If it's $1, $5, $10, it doesn't matter. You need to get it in there. That's just the way it works, okay? If you're a wholesaler or if you're a rehabber or a buy and hold investor, you got to get escrow open and you got to get money in escrow. Now, can we prolong that money into escrow? We can if we're not dealing with an agent. An agent's going to ride you to death to get it in. So, for sale by owners, not so much. But just remember, there are 4 stages to every single communication. Stage 1, fact finding. Stage 2, the set. Stage 3, negotiation. Stage 4, the close. So guys, on the radio and my podcast listeners, I'm going to tell you one more time, go join me on Facebook, Creative Real Estate Training Academy. If you enjoyed this, watch and listen to other podcast and radio recorded shows on Blog Talk Radio, or join our Facebook page and watch any of our videos on there. You guys don't get to see the dig deeper if you're not on Facebook or any of our other stuff. So join us on Creative Real Estate Training Academy. Do that right now. This is Zack Childress with your Real Estate Investing Talk Show. Until next time, I'll see you next week, 1:30 Central Time or Eastern Time Zone for your Real Estate Investing Talk Show. Bye now. Facebook, give it to me. I've kept you guys here super long today.
Toby just said, see you later.
Alligator, after a while, crocodile. So, what was that? So anyways, listen, Facebook, I hope you guys enjoyed today. I hope all my fans enjoyed it today. I hope you guys had a good call today, got some good information out of this one today. This one was a little bit deeper than our normal stuff, but I think communications is important. And if you don't understand it, you're missing out. And that's why you need a coach. That's why you need a coach. You need somebody that can coach you and teach you the things you don't know. So, if no one else has got any feedback for me today, I'm going to part ways with you, and I'm going to see you hasta mañana on Wednesday at 1:30 Eastern Time Zone for our Dig Deeper book review. But actually, tomorrow we're continuing part 2 of our interview with an expert with Andrew Williams. Listen, you guys crashed Facebook last Wednesday when we were doing it with him, and we had to stop and turn it back on and redo another one. So I appreciate all the enthusiasm. You guys are getting some super knowledge out of him, talking about how to get into cash flow properties without even using your money, how to even get paid at closing to get into cash flow properties. It was pretty intense. It was a great call. So we got part 2 starting tomorrow, right back here. Okay. So, anything else, Jill?
Susan, she says, love this. Nobody teaches this but Zack. Thank you.
Love you, Susan. I'm changing things up out here. Listen, trust me, people will start doing this. But I led the pack first, okay? All you know that. And they'll follow, trust me. But they won't be as authentic as I am. I'll tell you that. So, anything else?
Yeah.
All right, Facebook. This is Zack Childress, your real estate investing coach. And thank you for showing up on the Real Estate Investing Talk Show for today's market here on Tuesday, 1:30 Eastern Time Zone. Like this page, share this stream, and I'll see you guys on part 2 of Interview with an Expert tomorrow. Same bat channel, same bat time, same bat place. See ya.